Yes, guys, welcome to the Fantasy Football Fix Game Week 8 live stream. This is going to be a big one. We have it just under an hour until the deadline. We got to be talking about wildcards because I know there are a lot of you right now in the chat with your wildcards active, without your wildcard active, but potentially activating it. It's going to be absolute carnage. So before we get into the depths of this, make sure you do like the stream. Hit that subscribe button and, of course, let me know if you are involved. Get yourselves in the chat. Put your thumbs up. I want to see who is involved. I can see people already asking questions, which is fantastic to see. And I'm going to try and help you as much as we can over the next 58 minutes until that deadline. So just let me know if you're in the chat, guys. I see Ice Cold Jones already asking a question. Tony or Isaac? It's a solid question here right now. And I think on the basis of it right now, I think Isaac is quite an interesting pick as somebody who I probably would consider going forward. Now, Tony is just in the form of his life right now. Penalties, guaranteed game time. My question mark would be, when Callum Wilson returns to that Newcastle team, how is that going to affect Isaac's game time? So just be cautious of that one. I like Isaac over the short term, though, because Brentford's fixtures do slightly start to turn, and it could be a great opportunity to go a little bit differential with Isaac. Rio saying, Nacho, I need your advice on my wildcard team. There's going to be a lot of this, guys. 1.5 million in the bank. Pope, Trippier, Kufal, Cancelo, Almiron, Bailey, Martinelli, KDB, Kane. I like it. Justin would be my question mark. I can't see any sort of benefit in going for a Leicester defender right now with Justin. So I wouldn't look to go for Justin right now as we speak. But I like the rest of your team. I think it's solid. It's well balanced. Justin, though, I probably would look to replace. Whether you go for somebody like a Crystal Palace defender, I think is a really good option for the long term. Also, having the balance of Almiron and Bailey, I'm not too comfortable in having both of those in the team. Can you upgrade one of those potentially would be my choice. Colm said hit the like. Yes, please do hit the like, guys. And Craig saying, wildcard, Isaac and De Bruyne versus Kane and Bowen. This is such a great debate right now because a lot of managers don't know what direction to go for with their teams, whether to put the investment in the front line or to put it in the midfield. Now, I think, Craig, the decision right now comes to your structure. Are you tempted to potentially go for Salah later down the line? If so, then I think having Kevin De Bruyne just sat in your team, ready to upgrade to Salah, is the route that I would go for. But in this week in particular, I prefer Kane over KDB. Let me know what your thoughts are. Who would you prefer, Kane or KDB? So, look, I think Kane and Bowen would be my choice. But if you wanted the Salah strategy, then I would go for the balance that Isaac and De Bruyne give you. Because then you have the flexibility of having a midfielder in that team that you can upgrade to Mo Salah. So while we're on the topic of wildcard, guys, I'm going to show you a quick wildcard draft. This is going to be a double premium. So it's right on topic what you're asking there, Craig. So if you're currently thinking about it, this could really help you guys out. So let's get into it. A double premium forward wildcard draft. And this is how roughly, if I was to go down that route, I would go for. So some notable kind of players in this one here. First and foremost, we got a few blank players. Zaha and James, I think, are worthwhile bringing into a team, even though they have a blank game week in game week 8. And of course, because you're wildcarding, you have the flexibility of still playing 11 players with really, really solid fixtures. So this is the sort of team that I would be looking at if I was to go for a double premium forward line. What do I like about this sort of wildcard? First and foremost, you're getting Harry Kane for that fantastic home fixture against Leicester. And you're getting to spread the money across midfielders that I think are going to offer fantastic FPL value down the line. Bowen, Maddison and Wilfried Zaha on our fixture ticker are right up there in the top 5. So they could offer fantastic differentials over the coming game weeks. Defence, I still think Reece James is absolutely worth his weight in goals. So I think Reece James, Trippier and Cancelo for the foreseeable future is a great trio. And then we kind of like have a nice combination of Kufel, Nico Williams. You could even change Nico Williams to Emerson at West Ham. And we could change Kufel potentially to a Patterson if you want to go down that route. Or Crystal Palace's guy. So there's many variations of this team. But this is roughly where I would go if I was doing a double premium forward line. Projected to score 55 points this game week, but of course with the blank players in Zaha and James, you're going to benefit from those later down the line as the weeks progress. Now it's worth noting, I've got the vice captaincy on Mitrovic, but I would, at the time of recording, replace that and put the vice captaincy on Harry Kane. I think Harry Kane is a fantastic option this game week, and that's why I do like this draft. My one worry is you're kind of booking in a transfer if you eventually want to own a premium midfielder in the likes of Salah, Kevin De Bruyne or Son. Now, I don't think it's as drastic as everybody is kind of saying. You could easily downgrade Harry Kane to an Isaac or a Tony, and then in another transfer, upgrade maybe someone like Bowen to Mo Salah. There is an option there for you. But of course, with this strategy, you don't have an easy route to Mo Salah. It is worth noting. So let me know what your thoughts are in the chat, guys. What do you think about this current draft if you were going for a double premium midfield forward line? And how would you change it? Let me know. It'd be really interesting to know what your thoughts are. Keep Jesus this week, Jack is saying. I think if you are in a situation where you're not wildcarding, I would absolutely keep Gabriel Jesus this week. I really do think that Gabriel Jesus could be a fantastic differential because a lot of managers are moving away from him. Now, who do I think's got a better fixture, Mitrovic or Jesus? I absolutely think that Mitrovic has the better fixture, but Gabriel Jesus, Arsenal is still top 3 for XG this season, so I think he's still a fantastic pick. So based on that, I think Jesus is a brilliant hold if you want to go down that route. Sorry, guys, I just lost my screen. I'm just getting it back. I do apologise. Cheekster, good evening, FPL Nacho. How are you doing, buddy? Cheekster, I'm doing fantastic. I always love a Friday deadline because it means that we can fully chill on Saturday mornings. I always wake up in just hot sweats, panicking about the game week. So it's brilliant to just have the team locked in. And I will obviously reveal my team going into this week that I have on another slide. Mina saying Saka or Maddison or Kulusevski. For this game week in isolation, I would rank those probably as Saka number 1, Kulusevski number 2, and Maddison number 3. Now, if we're looking at it longer term, then I think Maddison really does come into the equation and right up the ranks. And I'd probably have Maddison number 1 actually. And importantly, if Brendan Rodgers does lose his job at Leicester, I think that just elevates Leicester players as fantastic FPL options. King Kong saying, can you review my team? King Kong, drop it in the chat. I will try and review it in time before the deadline. Ahmed saying Captain Kane or Salah. So we're going to come on to the predicted points in a bit. But right now, I personally would have the captaincy on Haaland. I just think the form that he's in right now and the chances that Man City create are just so hard to ignore right now. Harry Kane absolutely has the better fixture. But I just think right now, there's something slightly off with Spurs. They're not exactly at the races right now. The XG across the course of the season has been nowhere near Man City's. And I always want to back not only the best striker in the league in Haaland right now in terms of form, but also the best team. And those two both kind of go hand in hand with Haaland and Man City. Hayden saying Arsenal defender or not. I think it's an opportunity to go against the Arsenal defence now. They haven't necessarily been great for clean sheets and the fixtures start to slightly swing for them. So based on that, I think we can go against Arsenal defenders. If you're talking about selling one in a free transfer this week, I don't think that's necessary. I think you could just hold them for this week and then maybe look to move away in later game weeks. And Jack saying, should I have a Liverpool player on Wildcard ready for next week? No, I think it is an opportunity to swing against the Liverpool players and then you could look to maybe have a free transfer in place to bring one in. This is why I like the Wildcard Game Week 9 strategy because you can basically just dead end into Game Week 9. So for me, for example, I'm looking to do 2 free transfers, bring in some players that I don't necessarily want to own beyond Game Week 9. And it means that in Game Week 9, I can then just wildcard in the Liverpool players. And NK said, are you going to put your draft on screen? Yes, I will put my draft on screen in a little bit for sure. And Arwe saying Sterling in. I like Sterling as an option. I think he is going to be the main source of goals in that Chelsea team. The one thing I would say about Sterling is you're not really going to have Sterling and another premium midfielder. And Sterling's at a very awkward price point right now where do you have the money in the bank to upgrade Sterling to a Kevin De Bruyne, to a Son, to a Salah, which you inevitably are going to want to do later down the line. So based on that, I think Sterling is a fantastic option, but you need the money in the bank to have the flexibility to go up to those better premiums once they do emerge as options. So I'm conscious of time, guys. So we have 40 minutes until the deadline. Next up, I'm going to show you a Threemium draft for your wildcard. Now, this is 3 premium players, hence the Threemium name. Let me get this on screen for you guys now. So guys, this is what a Threemium draft would look like if I was to go down that route for my wildcard. Now, some notable changes from the previous draft that you saw. Can't afford Nick Pope with the current players that I've gone for. Therefore, I've gone for the Gaeta-Ward combination. Now, Ward between the sticks is not a good choice this game week. I'm not anticipating anything from him at all. So, based on that, the goalkeeper combination isn't good. But Palace, after game week 9 onwards, have fantastic long-term fixtures. Defense, I think they're about 10th for expected goals conceded. So they're looking good defensively. Not the best, not the worst. So I think Gaeta is a good option for goalkeepers long term. In the defence, you've been able to keep the majority of them. James, Trippier, Cancelo, Emerson. I like the defence here with the Threemium. But notably, with the midfielders, we've had to make sacrifices. So there's no Maddison and there's no Bowen. But in terms of Gordon is one of those players that because of his price point, managers are kind of just overlooking. He's had around about a 2.5 XG, which is fantastic for somebody at 5.5 million. And he's right up there with the midfielders. He's above the likes of Bowen, Zach, all these sort of players. And I think Gordon is going to fly under the radar and it has fantastic fixtures long term. I think he's a brilliant pick. Now, we've been able to keep Wilfried Zaha. I really do think that he's going to be a brilliant option going forward. And Martinelli, mainly because a lot of managers do have a lot of money tied up in him. So naturally, it's very difficult to prize yourself away from Martinelli. But with that front line, Mitrovic, Haaland and Harry Kane just gets you the 3 best forwards for this game week in isolation. Now, what you want to do with Harry Kane going forward would be your choice in this draft. But it gives you so much flexibility in your team. If after this game week, you think to yourself, premium midfielders is not the route that I want to go down, you can drop KDB down to a Bowen, down to a Son, down to anybody of your choice, apart from, of course, Mo Salah. And you can have that flexibility in your team. Likewise, if you think to yourself, the double premium strategy is not the route I want to go down, then you could drop Harry Kane all the way down to an Isaac, to a Tony, to a Solanke, any of those choices available to you, and then decide what direction you want to take your team. So based on that, the more I look at this team, the more I think to myself, this is actually a viable draft that I would consider going forward in the coming game weeks. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, guys. Yes, you have to make sacrifices in some of the midfield spots and in the goalkeeper department, but I don't think that this is a terrible draft. And what I like about it is we get to give ourselves some information for this game week and then just basically change the draft to the direction that you want to go in, whether you downgrade Harry Kane or you downgrade KDB. So yeah, I am a big fan of this draft, actually. I've surprised myself in how much I actually like this draft. So let me know in the comments, guys, what your thoughts are on here. And of course, if you haven't already locked your teams in, make sure you just start to get an inkling on what you want to do with your draft. Do you want to go for the strategy 1? Do you want to go for strategy 2? I do apologize. I am just making sure that I've got my team locked in. I don't want to be that guy who kind of tells you guys, you need to do this, and then you don't actually get it locked in. So I do apologize. But yeah, I think we're looking good. Yeah, we're looking good, don't worry. Okay, guys. Let's see the comments in the chat. Nico versus Perisic. Very, very difficult conversation there because they're both at very different price points. Based on that, I think that Perisic is naturally the route that I would recommend going because I just think that he's in a better team and the attacking potential is there for him as well. Will he start this week is the big question. In terms of starting, it has to be Perisic of the two. Nacho, are you going to wildcard this week? Spoiler alert, no, I am not wildcarding this week. I don't think, unless there's been some breaking news that we do not know about, which I will panic if that is the case. And let me know in the chat if there's been any breaking news about player injuries. But no, I am currently not planning on wildcarding. Foden instead of Maddison, yes, I think Foden is a fantastic pick. But of course, if you go for the Threemium move, then in this team, you can't go for it because obviously you want KDB, Cancelo and Haaland. But in the previous draft that I mentioned on screen here, then yes, I think Foden instead of Maddison is definitely a viable strategy to have. Best 6 million or under midfielder, I think Gordon definitely ticks that box there. Maddison, Bowen or Gordon. If I had to rank those right now, I think I would have Maddison number 1, but not for this game week, but for the long term. Bowen 2 and Gordon 3. Oh, guys, let me put that Threemium draft back on the screen for you. Hi, Nacho. Who's the best 1 week punt midfielder this week? Look, if we're going to show the projected points in a bit, so you guys can check out exactly who is the best option. But if money is no object, I think Kevin De Bruyne is a fantastic midfielder to go for. Otherwise, if you want a real punt, then Son is the man. Son is definitely it. He's got pedigree. Yes, he hasn't necessarily been the player that we thought he was going to be from last season, but there will be a time where he just hits the ground running, and it could be this week against this Leicester defence. So if you want a real punt, Son is the one. Otherwise, KDB. Avoiding James, considering his Game Week 9 match has a chance of getting postponed. Yeah, there's a talk about the rail strikes. I don't read too much into that. I wouldn't be worried too much. There have been games that have carried out with train strikes. Don't worry too much about it, I don't think. Play with 9 or take hits for a -8 for 11. Please advise Nacho. So Denver, it's going to be all about the players that you're selling right now. If they're going to be players that you're looking to hold long term, then I don't mind the -8. But if you're just kind of making transfers for the sake of making transfers, it's how valuable the moves that you're making. If you're selling a player that's not playing and you're bringing in someone like Harry Kane, then yes, I can justify the points hit. Otherwise, if you're bringing in, like, you're selling Ward and you're bringing in Pope, I don't think that's a good points hit. Harry saying Kane captain over Haaland, there's absolutely logic behind it. I think Kane has the better fixture, absolutely. I just think the effective ownership on Haaland captain is going to make it very difficult for you to go against. And because of that, I personally am going on Haaland. Now, Tom has made a fantastic point in the comments here, delivering the knowledge bombs as always that Tom does, saying about going Begovic in goal for 1 game week with Pickford out. And I absolutely agree with that one there. With the squad that we have on our screens right now, I think that replacing Ward with Begovic is a fantastic FPL move. You're going to get Begovic for his home fixture. Now, will he keep a clean sheet? That's the other question. But we know that he will get guaranteed game time in the absence of Pickford. And Everton at home are decent. It is worth noting their underlying stats are a lot better at Goodison Park than away from home. So yes, I think Begovic is a brilliant 1 week option. So if you are currently sat there with maybe Gaita and you'll go in for that combination, I think Gaita and Begovic is the better combination than Gaita and Ward. Can you show 1 premium forward, 1 premium midfielder wildcard? Yeah, I had that one on screen, so hopefully that helped you out. I will put it back up later on if you didn't see it. Is Ward-Prowse a good choice? Yes, I think Ward-Prowse is a good choice. Mr. Consistent. The big worry of Ward-Prowse, and it is kind of a bugbear that I have about him, because of his avenue to points is so predominant around set pieces, which is worth noting. You kind of have to play him in every fixture because the free kicks that he scores, he can score against any team. Like, no keeper is saving some of his free kicks, and equally his corners. So he's a sort of player that you can never bench. So that's the only thing I'm going to say to you is Ward-Prowse is a good pick, but you basically can never bench him because he's going to get guaranteed game time. He's on all set pieces and he can bang a worldy free kick. So just be cautious of that. You have to basically play him every game. Is Danny Ward still worth owning? And the answer is no. It absolutely isn't. But 4 million, starting goalkeeper, it's hard to say no to. That's the thing. What I'm saying is no because Leicester are crap defensively and Ward is proving to be not Premier League standard in terms of a goalkeeper. What game week is best for wildcard, do you think? So that is going to be completely team dependent. For my team, I could argue it is this week, but I want to have the Game Week 9 wildcard to have a few Liverpool assets and to get one more game week of information. I got a game week rank, a first in the world last week. What? Average FPL guy. Everyone give him or her an applause. That is unbelievable. Assume it's done completely randomly with no games being played, in which case it is 1 in 10 and 500,000 chance. First in the world. Okay. Okay, so game week 7 was a postponement, which makes me think there that is why you were first in the world because of that. Let me know, though. Let me know. Who am I planning to buy in your wildcard chip for game week 9? that is going to be something that I don't know exactly right now, but I know I'm going to have Mo Salah in my wildcard draft for Game Week 9. That is an absolute certainty. Some Chelsea investment, Zaha will be in there. There'll be a lot of similar faces, it's worth noting, but I just like to see what's going to happen over that international break. I'm kind of hoping there's maybe a few little niggly injuries that occur to make the wildcard a bit more tastier. Perisic unlikely to start. So Jay, I think, like, again, there is definitely an argument that Perisic won't start. Now, somebody on Twitter who is kind of worthwhile following is someone called Paul O'Keefe. He does do some tweets out there about Spurs lineups. He hasn't done one yet, it's worth noting, so he's absolutely betrayed me there, but I'm hoping that he will put one out and we can maybe then get a bit more information on whether he is going to be playing or not, because he has been quite proven over the last few game weeks that he has got some in the nose. It's worth noting. Sorry, I was just checking on my phone there to see if he's put anything out. For 2 weeks, Almiron or Saka. God, it's mad in a world that we're thinking that Almiron could track Saka. I probably would go Saka. But it's worth noting on our projected points, Almiron's looking good. Almiron's looking very tasty. It's worth noting. Why Gator over Pope? Basically, for this Threemium, I just wasn't able to put Pope in the team because of the affordability of other players. There probably is a way you could get Pope. So, for example, I probably need about 0.6, 0.4, 0.6 available. So, what I could have done is downgraded Gordon all the way to maybe Bailey. That's a way of doing it. Then you could have afforded Gaeta up to Pope. So, that's another variation of the draft that you're seeing on your screens there. Colin's making a good point there about a potential 19-year-old between the sticks for Aston Villa. Haven't seen that myself, but I'll take it for what it is. Kulusevski over Madison / Bowen. Yeah, I think Kulusevski for this game week in isolation is a fantastic option. Game time is the question mark. Obviously, we don't really know what his involvement is in the Spurs team right now. But for me, if you're picking the best Spurs team, Kulusevski absolutely is played on that right-hand side. So I think Kulusevski is a brilliant option. Just need to know what your risk tolerance is in terms of the minutes that Kulusevski will play. Is it worth having Bailey and St. Maximin as 4th and 5th midfielders after KDB, Martinelli, and Andreas? I like it. I think Bailey does play this game week and he's looked good when he has had the game time for Aston Villa. St. Maximin, it's worth noting, in Eddie Howe's press conference, did state that he hasn't confirmed or denied whether he is available. So based on that, do you want to take that risk? That's the only question I would say to you. Otherwise, we can look elsewhere. Could you go down to Gordon as a potential option? Or could we look elsewhere in maybe a higher price bracket like Madison or maybe even Wilfried Zaha? Yes, he won't be playing for this game week, but he could be an option for future game weeks, which is kind of like just an early hold for your teams. JWP or Joel Linton? Joel Linton, what a boy that guy is. I absolutely love Joel Linton. What a transformation. It has to be Ward-Prowse. I do apologise, Joel Linton. Who would you bring in for Salah between KDB and Son as a 1 week punt before wildcard? Okay, so there's some great questions in here, and I think this is the perfect opportunity for me to put the projected points for game week 8 so we can see them here. So let's go. So here we have the projected points for game week 8. I'm giving my team reveal a little bit more of a delay just so we can, build excitement in the chat. I know you guys might not even care. But so to answer your question, for a 1 week punt, we have Son ahead of KDB based on projected points at 6.3, which is mad to think that, because the recent form that Son has been in, you wouldn't necessarily be thinking to yourself, yeah, Son looks like a good option. But I do think that Son is still offering value. It is worth noting. Now, in terms of his shot volume, it's still there. His shot volume still exists. He's had decent shot volume. It's just the XG is a lot lower than we were anticipating for him. Now, I'll tell you what, I am all over the shop on the screen here. So let me just sort that out a minute. Going to be moving a minute. Here I go. Sliding along. There we go. Right. So, yes, for me, KDB is the one because we know he's got guaranteed game time. Playing in the best team in the league. But of course, if you just want to go outright punt based on the fixture alone and you're just going kind of tunnel vision on the fixture, then Son would be the man for you. Kane or Haaland for captaincy? Well, we have got on our projected points Kane outscoring Haaland by a 0.5 points, which is really quite scary to see there, because Kane could be a fantastic differential option. The thing I would say right now, and it's what I've said to a lot of people, is effective ownership is the big thing. Haaland is going to be captained by so many people, and because of that, I just think Haaland is probably the route I want to go for. His XG is double that of second place, and Man City are putting up the XG numbers as a team. Put those two together, it is very hard to look past someone like Haaland. KDB, so Callum saying, great name by the way, KDB and Isaac or Kane and Foden. See, I'm more excited by the Kane and Foden combination there for this game week in isolation. So based on that, I would go for the second option. Now, if you're talking about long term, then it comes down to a structural issue with your team. I think the KDB and Isaac combination is probably more of a fluid formation that I would probably recommend, because what you can do there is have Isaac for the upcoming fixtures, which look great for Newcastle, but importantly, have KDB as a placeholder for potentially a Salah move if you think that Mo Salah is a vital pick in game week 9. So it's all about your team structure, but for this game week in isolation, I like the Kane and Foden move. Power saying, which one of these would you bench? Maddison, Bailey or Andreas? Wow. That is a tough call there. So, fixture-wise, the answer will be Maddison. But he's the talisman of that Leicester team. So, based on that, I probably would start Maddison and Bailey and bench Andreas personally. But look, Andreas has the better fixture, it's worth noting. Maximin or Andreas? Again, Maximin would be the pick, but right now with injury status, we don't really know if he's definitely available. So based on that, it probably would have to be Andreas. Lisa, hope you're doing well. Hi Nacho, what is the reason for you not wildcarding this week? I'm being stubborn and not swaying from my planned game week 9 at the moment. So considering a -4 to bring in Trippier to get 11 out, would you do this? Thanks. Okay, so first and foremost, Lisa, I'm absolutely with you on the stubborn thing. I am exactly the same for this week. Okay, so this will be good. I can just quickly cover off my thoughts right now and we'll come over to my team afterwards. So, first and foremost, for a -4 for a defender, I'm not big on. But for Trippier, I do like it. I think his price might rise as well, so it is worth noting that. We can check that out on fantasyfootballfix.com, of course. Now, wildcarding this week. Why have I not wildcarded this week? The main reason being is, first and foremost, I'm seeing wildcard teams being produced, and I'm not seeing that much that could punish me. Mitrovic is one, absolutely, and the double up in Newcastle defence is another. But a lot of managers are completely avoiding Liverpool. They're bringing in Zaha, they're bringing in James, they're bringing in all these players that we who are not wildcarded probably already have, or Zaha can't hurt us because he's got a postponed game. So Wildcard 9, what I like about it, the pros, you can go through international break and ride the price rises. There's going to be monstrous price rises tonight, it's worth noting. So you need to get the players in to kind of capitalise on the price rise. Secondly, international break can always pose injuries, which is a fantastic position to be in if you are wildcarding. And you want to have your fingers crossed that there are a few little niggles there just to make it interesting for FPL. And thirdly, look, I might be naive. Thiago, Fabinho, Matip and Jota, I don't care who you are, you put that in a team, that turns you into a great team. And those are the 4 players that Liverpool have basically not had for the last few game weeks. You put them in their team, I foresee them being a elite team once again. That is the spine of their team basically just back together. So based on that, I see Salah, I see Trent being excellent FPL options once again. And a lot of these managers that have wildcarded in a game week 8 effectively have gone against Liverpool assets, and I am for Liverpool assets. And that's the main reason being, to be honest with you, is I'm all about the Liverpool assets, and I think they're going to be brilliant options in game week 9 against a managerless Brighton team. And it could be a brilliant time to go for a differential captain on Mo Salah. Also, as I mentioned, a lot of people are going early on players, on Reece James, on Zaha. In game week 9, we can get 1 week's worth of information and then look to bring him into our team. So based on that, that's the reason why I'm wildcarding in game week 9. Now, it's worth noting, I'm in for a world of pain this week. I'm absolutely happy with that. I've come to peace with it, that taking a -4 and not having Mitrovic and not having the double up in Newcastle defence is going to mean pain, absolutely. But I just think there's more benefit in the wildcard in game week 9. Let me know your thoughts in the comment, guys, in the comments. And just a quick rundown of the predicted points there, guys. You can see it on the screens there, but some interesting was Kulusevski, 4.5 predicted points. Now, I see Tom has put some little discussions here about predicting that Perisic to start, but is predicting no Son, which is massive. That is massive, and that is going to put a lot of people off if they were looking to wildcard them in. So, very interested to see that. And Tom, let me know if Kulusevski is predicted to start as well. That'd be really handy to know. Again, guys, we're on 27 likes. If we can get it to 50 likes, I would absolutely appreciate that. We kind of have a bit of a tradition where we will try and hit 50 likes. If you can get us there again, that would be massively appreciated. Marco, Pereira, Maddison, Bowen, KDB, Martinelli. Who should be left on the bench? I play with 4 midfielders. Well, KDB, Martinelli, absolutely not. Bowen, absolutely not. It's a straight shootout between Pereira and Maddison. And based on that, it's all about if you're a fixture head. If you think about fixtures, I would bench Maddison. If you're thinking about just talisman, FPL options, then Maddison would be the one that you start and you bench Pereira. Almiron or Gordon? Well, looking at our predicted points, Almiron is the boy this week at 4.2. But long term, it would be Gordon for me if you had the money available. Bernardo versus Gundogan, I would go for neither. Both are rotation risks and both aren't necessarily accumulating the expected goals, expected assists to really make them viable FPL options. Kane or De Bruyne, for this game week in isolation, based on our predicted points, we are going for Kane. But again, it's all about the structure that you are thinking about with your team. Going the KDB route means that you can then easily go up to someone like Salah, which is worth considering. 9 players to play or make it 10 by bringing in Trippier for a -4. Red, let me know who you're selling. That's going to be the big question mark right now. Pick Bowen or Saka in wildcard. I think the answer there probably would be Bowen. But of course, it's a little bit of a punt there, which is worth noting. I think Saka is the better FPL option. But Bowen with the fixtures coming up, I'd probably rather go down that route. Average FPL guy. I feel like Son has been super unlucky with chances recently. Had a goal disallowed and hit the bar last match. I could have had an assist. Yeah, it's worth noting. Son's shot volume has been decent. I don't think he's been as bad as people are saying. But with Kulusevski, Richarlison, there's rotation that could happen. And based on the tweets right now by Paul O'Keefe, there is a chance that he could get rotated this game week. Is Gordon a good pick for this week? Yes. I do think Gordon is a fantastic pick for this game week. And for the long term. Almiron and Kane, or St. Maximin and Kane, or Isaac and KDB for points, and I have a good bench. So it's worth noting, if you're on about SMM, is that meant to be St. Maximin? I would be worried about his potential game time because he hasn't been confirmed if he's available. So I would rather you go for Almiron and Kane just because we know Almiron will get game time. But I've covered this. I think Isaac and KDB offers you flexibility, which is always necessary in FPL. Start Andreas or Bailey? I would start Bailey, absolutely, of the two. I think Bailey is a fantastic option this game week. For a wildcard and team, this is asked by Eric. Which player will be a better pick until game week 16? James or Zaha? Whew. They both sit out this weekend but have a pretty decent fixture list until the World Cup. I would go James. I would personally go James. He's cheaper. He's about 1.2 million cheaper. Plays in a team which he is offering attacking potential. I think in this Potter team, he will just be deployed very much as a wing back. And obviously clean sheet potential as well. Based on that, I think James is the option. But I would question, can you get both in your team? Should I change Bowen to Kulusevski? Jack saying, for a 1 week punt, I think Kulusevski is the better option. Bowen long term is better. It's worth noting. Okay, guys, it's probably worth mentioning because I am chatting quite a bit. What I will do is I will get my team up. Let's get my team up. We can discuss what my plans are. Okay, guys, so this is how my team is looking. And I can safely say that I am what I would class locked in. Kind of like a countdown thing there. I am locked in, guys. Now, Kyle Walker is on the bench on the screen right now. In my team, I do have him in the starting 11, and that is just out of sheer hope that he potentially may start, but I am very, very conscious that he is likely not going to play. Stones will probably play at right back. They will probably play that new signing at centre-back or Diaz alongside Ake, and I'm going to be crying into my pillow, undoubtedly, at the thought of not having enough players playing, which would be very, very, very frustrating. Now, looking at the team, why did I not wildcard? I've discussed that previously. I basically just think that a wildcard in Game Week 9 is going to offer massive value for the Liverpool assets as differentials. Having Ward between the sticks and Harry Kane in my team is not good news, it's worth noting. I basically need a situation where Kane scores a hat-trick, Ward saves a penalty, Ward makes 10 saves and gets bonus, while Kane picking up 3 bonus. That's the world I need to live in right now. Unfortunately, I can't see that happening. But if you said to me right now, would I take a -4 point hit for Ward to Pope? Don't think it's worthwhile at all, because I'm dead ending for a wild card in Game Week 9. And because of that, I don't foresee value in doing the Ward to Pope move for a -4. I just don't think it is worthwhile for your teams. Now, the rest of my team, a lot of it contradicts one another. I have Andreas playing against Nico Williams. That's never a good situation to be in. But I think I have the pool of players that a lot of people are going to be wildcarding into that could hurt me. I've got Trippier, I've got Cancelo, I have Bowen, I've got Martinelli, I've got Kane, I've got Haaland, and Jesus is actually a little bit of a differential as well. So this team was for a -4. Do I think I'll get a green arrow this week? Absolutely not. Could I, get a grey arrow potentially? So I'm hoping for the best, and I'm praying that Walker comes clutch and get some game time, because that's exactly what I need. Let me know your thoughts in the chat, guys. What are your thoughts on my Game Week 9 at 8 locked-in team? I think there's going to be a lot of people that hate this. It's worth noting. I'm going for a slightly alternative wildcard. What do you think of this? Martinez, Cancelo, Trippier, Emerson, KDB, Martinelli, Bailey, Andreas, Haaland, Kane, Mitrovic, bench. Yeah, I like seeing different picks, so I like that team. Should I go for Bailey or get in Zaha for future game weeks? I would go for Zaha for future game weeks. Apple bringing in an 8 million midfielder, and I can take a -4 to get both Kane and Mitrovic, or don't take the hit and get only one. Depends who you're selling. Let me know who you're selling. That might give a bit more clarity. Supposedly, okay, Tom's on it, so obviously, hopefully that will get resolved there on the fixed website. I think it's working my end, so I think we're all good my end in case that helps. Perisic and Isaac or Kane and Emerson. Probably go for the Kane and Emerson combination. Best 5.5 million defender for a hit, if any. Okay, so let's get our projected points up here. Now, you can see the defenders here. Trippier, Stones, Ake all fall into the category of under 5.5 million. Now, I don't think any defender is worthwhile this week for a -4 point hit. It is worth noting, so I'm not going to advise you doing that move. But if you had to make one, Richard, it would be for Trippier, if you were to go down that route. Maddie saying, any update on St. Maximin's injury? No, unfortunately, haven't got any clarity. Eddie Howe's press conference was very unclear. He basically said he's not necessarily available, he's not unavailable, which just helps nobody. And I wish he could be a bit more clear. Aaron saying, I feel a bit more confident about having the same front three now. That's good news. That's good news. Hopefully it is helpful. Bowen or Kulusevski just for this week? Well, if we get clarification that Kulusevski is going to start, then I prefer Kulusevski over Bowen. Of course, there was a little bit of doubt about the minutes, but yes, I think Kulusevski is a better pick than Bowen for one game week in isolation. Unfortunately, I went for Bowen. Richard saying about selling Estupiñán for a hit. So obviously Estupiñán isn't going to play. So if you're in a situation where you only have 2 defenders, then yes, I think it could be worthwhile a hit, because you're basically selling a player that's got guaranteed zero for a player that is going to get guaranteed game time. So it's effectively only a -2. And based on that, I think it's an okay move, but I'm never for points hits necessarily for defenders. I just don't really think it's worthwhile. Which combination to go for? KDB and Mitrovic, Haaland and Foden? That is huge. I can't sit here and tell anybody to go without Haaland. So based on that, it's got to be Haaland and Foden. Isaac or Trippier captain as a differential? I'm not big on either. I don't want to burst your bubble there, but I'm not big on either. If I had to pick one, looking at the projected points here, it would have to be for Trippier, but I really can't sit here and say to you that I am happy with that recommendation. Bowen or Kulusevski on the wildcard? I'd probably go for Bowen on the wildcard. Tony or Jesus to Isaac for a -4? Neither. Neither, Bob. I would sell neither for a -4. You can see on our projected points here, Tony for 4.6 projected points and Jesus 4.6. For a -4, you'd basically need Isaac to go double digit, kind of Super Saiyan mode. Don't see it happening. So no, I wouldn't be doing that for a -4. Selling Salah for the Kane Mitrovic -4 move. Okay, so you basically Apple messing. What you're saying is you are going to be doing Salah down to to an 8 million midfielder, and then a -4 to get both Kane and Mitrovic, or don't take the hit and get only one. Just trying to establish this. I like that move. If you're doing a -4 and you're doing Salah down to an 8 million midfielder, and then you can bring in also Kane and Mitrovic for a -4, I love it. So yeah, I would do that move absolutely. Best 6 million or under midfielder, it would have to be Almiron for this game week in isolation and long-term Gordon. What's my Son XG against Leicester? Is that what I'd expect him to do? I wouldn't expect too much from Son this week if there are rumours that he's going to potentially be benched. That's killer for a lot of managers out there. And I do apologise. Ignore the radio silence a minute. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly check to see on Twitter while we're on here. Again, please do drop any questions you do have just to see if there is any sort of conversation about any potential rumours that I can share with you guys while not trying to panic you. So, as I mentioned, the Paul O'Keefe guys kind of put a recommendation. He thinks that potentially Son won't start, which is mega news, obviously. So yeah, just seeing if there's any more information. But look, there's not too much more information out there, I don't think. But what I will say, guys, is if you are wildcarding for game week 9, my recommendation is get that wildcard activated tonight. There are some big potential price changes tonight. Just to give you an idea on what those are, if I can get them up for you, just for a bit of kind of potential, not trying to swing you here, but this is what's going to happen tonight. Potential price rises: De Bruyne, Trippier, Isaac, Gordon, Martinelli, Mitrovic, Andreas. Big players. And those that are flying right now that could potentially rise in price: Bowen, Perisic, Haaland, Almiron. Now, it's worth noting, wildcard transfers do not contribute towards price changes, so they are going to be slightly skewed here, but nonetheless, I wouldn't take any risks. I would bring in these players in your wildcard draft and just hope that they rise in price. On the flip side, Jesus potentially going to fall in price tonight. Kyle Walker going to fall in price tonight. We also have, that's mainly it. So yeah, basically, I would be definitely looking to wildcard tonight to capitalise on those price changes. Is Perisic predicted to start? Zach saying yes, it does sound like it. And again, guys, we have 15 minutes until the deadline, so make sure you are locking in those teams if you haven't already. You should have a bit of an inclination of what you want to do with your team. Start Andreas or Gordon. I probably would start Gordon personally of the two. Is Son a good pick this game week on a wildcard? No, by the sounds of things, there's enough worry right now about Son's game time to not go without him. I would not pick Son. Sinistera is an interesting shout. Now, of course, doesn't have a game this week, so basically you can't really consider him. But he's posted really good numbers so far this season when he has started. So one to consider, but not really something you need to worry about right now because basically he hasn't got a game. Jack saying Perisic and Bailey or Emerson and Bowen. I'll be very tempted by Perisic and Bailey of the two. Andreas or Da Silva to start, I would start Andreas. I don't think Da Silva's game time is as secure as Andreas's. I think we could see Da Silva maybe play 15 minutes, which isn't ideal for an FPL option. And Almiron or Saka, very, very difficult one for me to answer here because of different price points. If you said to me right now, you have to own one, Saka or Almiron, although our projected points have Almiron ahead of Saka, I would go for Saka personally. But it's all about kind of what you're going with there. And guys, I can see that we have hit 51 likes, which is absolutely awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for getting us to 50 likes and beyond. Obviously, if you can get us to 100, that'll be phenomenal. But I appreciate that that is a little bit sneaky from me, asking for you guys to do that. But obviously, if you can smash the like button, it'd be massively appreciated. And of course, we have still got 13 minutes until the deadline. So if you haven't already, make sure you are putting any last questions that you do have in the chat so we can try and get them answered for you. And then we can enjoy our Friday evenings or wherever you are in the world. Isaac or Jesus? Well, based on our projected points, Jesus still comes out on top. So what I love about this game week is a lot of people are wildcarding. A lot of people are moving away from Gabriel Jesus. And we need to remember, Arsenal's still the third best attacking team in this league against a Brentford team that I would argue aren't necessarily looking watertight defensively. So I think there's great potential for a Gabriel Jesus differential this week. Andreas or Gibbs White to start. Really good shout there. Now, I won't get this up on screen, but I can check the projected points for you here just to give you a bit of an idea on what they look like on this side. Now, I'm going to just heed warning here. Neither are going to be very high at all. Gibbs White projected to score 2.3 and Andreas is predicted to score 3.4. So look, Andreas would be the winner there. He's on set pieces, so I think that's a big factor worth considering there. Richarlison instead of Mitrovic? No, I would go for Mitrovic all day long. I think Mitrovic just ticks all the boxes. Talisman in that team, brilliant fixtures long term, on penalties, and importantly posting fantastic underlying stats. He's had such a tough run of fixtures, and he has basically posted the second best XG of all forwards, which is just crazy to think. So based on that, Mitrovic all day long. Mitrovic and KDB or Kane and Kulu? Tricky one there. For this game week in isolation, I love the Kane and Kulusevski double up. But for kind of longevity of your team, I would go for Mitrovic and KDB. I have Andreas and Mitrovic starting. Who to play? Who play Forest? Should that deter me away from starting Nico or not? If so, then I'll be starting Digne ahead of him. I'll be tempted to start. I think if you own Digne, my question to you would be, when do you start him if you don't start him at home to Southampton? So based on that, I probably would start Digne. I'd then flip a coin between Nico and Andreas and basically think to yourself, do you think they'll keep a clean sheet? If not, you start Andreas. Johnny Small, Ward and Emerson or Iverson and Nico on wildcard. Probably go for Ward and Emerson. Probably Ward and Emerson would be the combination I would go for. Is Ward Pope a good combo? I think it is a good combination if you can afford it. But end of the day, I think you're just going to play Pope in every single fixture. Importantly, Newcastle do come across a few tricky fixtures against Man United and Spurs. It's worth noting. But Pope doesn't have it, sorry, I'll restart that. He has the ability to get monster hauls and those sort of fixtures he definitely could. So I wouldn't look past just starting Pope all the time. Any midfielder in the 7.5 million range got KDB, Martinez, Almiron, Pereira. So looking at our projected points here for the 7.4 million range, then Martinelli obviously is a big consideration if you haven't looked there. If you're looking for maybe long term, Zaha would be my pick there. I think he's a fantastic option, but of course doesn't have a game this game week. Otherwise, you come all the way down to someone like Gordon, potentially at 5.5 million. Hold my coffee mug. What a great name. Foden, Bowen, Saka for the next 2 game weeks. Okay, well, the beautiful thing about this is we have our projected points. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get the projected points up on, not on screen, but I'm going to get them up in front of me just so I can relay back to you, just so you've got an idea. So first up, Foden is projected to score over that period 7.1 points. Make sure you have that one in the back of your mind. Bowen is projected to score 7.2. God, not a lot in it at all, is there? And Saka is projected to score 8.1. So look, based on that, Saka would be the pick. The way I would personally rank him, I'd probably have Foden maybe top. Foden 1, Saka 2, Bowen 3 probably. If you had KDB, Haaland, Mitrovic, who would you captain and vice captain if that was your team? I would captain Haaland and vice captain KDB. Bailey or Maddison? For this game week, Bailey. For long term, Maddison. FPL Aiden, hope you're well. Hope you're well. Would you keep Maddison on a wildcard and would you play him over Bailey? Wow, that's so tough. I think Maddison is a great pick if you are wildcarding. For this game week, though, I would argue if you have Bailey in your team and he's home against Southampton, if you don't start him against Southampton, when are you ever going to start him? I think it's the big thing. So I probably would start Bailey over Maddison. It feels wrong. It absolutely feels wrong. But I probably would start Bailey over Maddison. Cue the Maddison Worldy free kick. Samo saying Kane or Haaland captain. Based on our projected points, Kane is the man. But obviously it doesn't take into account ownership. And Haaland's ownership, the form that he's in, I just think it's very difficult to look past Haaland. I don't think you need to take that risk right now in the season. So projected points-wise, Kane's the answer. Otherwise, Haaland for the effective ownership. Pereira or Maddison? Have Perisic. To start, that one's trickier. Probably Maddison over Pereira. TA, James and Zaha on the bench for wildcard. Madness or good for future? I think the Trent one is the one that I would question right now. It's a lot of money that I would argue don't necessarily need right now. So that one is the one question mark. I like James and Zaha on your bench. TA might be just one step too far right now. You know, we could, if you're a wildcard right now, you might need to accept that you're not going to have all the Liverpool players you want for this certain game week. But otherwise, if you're happy to roll with that, I don't mind it. Gordon or Gibbs-White for this week? I would go for Gordon of the two. And start Andreas or Bailey? I would start Bailey. Gibbs-White or Gordon? Have I covered that one? I would go Gordon. Yeah, I think I've covered that one. I tripled up Spurs just for this week. Perisic, Kane and Kulusevski. What do you think? Yep, I don't mind that at all. For this game week in isolation, it sounds like they're all starting. They all look like fantastic picks. KDB or Kane? For this game week, I love Kane. I think Kane's the man this game week. And Bernardo or Andreas to bench? I think you have to bench Andreas because Bernardo Silva playing in a team that accumulates the expected goals that they do. I think you just need a piece of that pie, and hopefully if Bernardo gets the game time, he could get involved. It's worth noting, I'm not a big fan of Bernardo Silva as an FPL option. Guys, what we're going to do, I'm just going to leave one of the wildcard drafts on screen so you can see it. We have 5 minutes until the deadline. So what I want you to do right now is do exactly what I am doing. Get your phone, get your laptop, get your computer, click pick team and look at your team. And if you haven't selected your team right now, start to get your team selected because game time and crunch time is happening. Get your captaincy locked in, get them sort of players that you want in, and just hope for the best after that. Let's answer some more questions. So keep saying, got 4.7 million in the bank. Who is the best goalkeeper to go for? Pope. Oh, 4.7 million to spend on a goalkeeper. Sorry. Okay, so based on projected points for this game week in isolation, and of course, we're just focusing on this game week. There's not much. There's not a lot out there that I love. I think Henderson probably is the one that I'll go for and just pray that Nottingham Forest put in a great performance at home. So I probably would say Henderson. Now, if you're looking long term, then I think the story is a little bit different for you at 4.7 million. So I don't know how long you're looking for. It's worth noting. But if you're looking a bit more longer term, then I think Ray at Brentford's a consideration, and Henderson remains a good pick. Do you think St. Maximin is going to start? Unfortunately, I just don't have the clarity on that one right now. Eddie Howe's press conference was really, really difficult to kind of decipher. Sounds like he could start. It sounds like he couldn't start. Just the worst possible answer there. Essentials on a wild card. Okay, this is really good. So this team I got on the screen right now. I think essential-wise, I think Cancelo, I think Trippier, I think Andreas Pereira, Haaland, Mitrovic are definitely essential. And I think Martinelli becomes essential for a lot of people because he becomes essential for a lot of people because they've built up a lot of value in him. So they can't really afford to sell him. Outside of that, I don't think anyone's essential. And then it comes down to what kind of structure you're going for. Best 4.4 million defender. I think Emerson is worth considering, absolutely. Also, like Tom said, Botman is an excellent if you want to go for the double up in the Newcastle defence or even a triple up. I think Botman is a brilliant move. I personally wouldn't triple up on Newcastle. Main reason being is because I'd want that spot clear if I wanted to go for somebody like Wilson or Isaac in that front line. If you triple up in the defence, you've basically blocked yourself going in that direction. I'm the guy who tripled up on Spurs, but my goalkeeper is Ward. I feel that pain as I've brought in Harry Kane, and I've still got Ward in the sticks. Bowen, Martinelli, Kulusevski, Bailey to start. How does that look? Yeah, I like it. I think you've got some great differentials there. Kulusevski in particular. Zed, cheers for the stream, mate. No worries at all. Hopefully it's helped you guys out. And again, guys, we have 2 minutes. 2 minutes until the deadline, guys. So if you have not got your team locked in, please get it locked in. I do not want to be the guy that is stopping you from locking in your team. So please do get it locked in. I've got mine locked in and I'm on a stream. So get yours done before this stream ends, please. Thoughts on Dallo over Nico? Well, you're not getting the game this week, so automatically I'm not really big on it. Shall I bench Maddison for Nico Williams? So tough that one. I really don't know the answer to that one. I do apologise. Maddison can score anytime, any place, but Nico Williams has a better fixture. It's kind of what kind of manager you are, a fixture or a form manager. Start Emerson or Barnes? Probably Emerson. Andreas or Gordon? I'd go Gordon. Cheekster, thanks for another useful live stream, FPL Nacho. No worries at all. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Almiron or Bailey to start? Probably Bailey. But super close, Alex. Super close between the two. Bowen or Kane Vice? I'll go Kane Vice. Guys, I'm looking at my clock and I'm seeing them seconds tick away. 10 seconds by my count. So get them locked in. Of course, Almiron is a fantastic pick as well. It's worth noting. I'll try and get both into your team. They're both fantastic options this game week. James. You've just put your question in the chat and I've just refreshed the page and I can confirm that the deadline has passed and I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I am praying that you got your team locked in. Let me know. Please let me know if you did. Obviously, I can't help your thoughts on the free hit team there, but I really do hope that you did get it locked in. So guys, that is going to be the end of the live stream. We have wrapped up the live stream and it's been thoroughly enjoyable. I really enjoyed this one because the wildcard means absolute FPL carnage, which is always a fantastic part of the game. So I have nothing really else more to say. I think the main thing, guys, is price changes are happening tonight. there are big price changes happening tonight. So the one thing that I could leave, if you could leave the stream with, is checking out the links in the bio. Download for free the Fantasy Football Fix app. I can't recommend it enough, guys, because tonight is going to be ridiculous for price changes. I counted over 30 potential price changes, and you're going to want to keep track of it. So download the free Fantasy Football Fix app or check out fantasyfootballfix.com on the website. That is your go-to place for tracking price changes. And obviously check out all the other amazing features that we do have on there. But in particular, the price change is an absolute staple to FPL. I can't highly recommend it enough. So we're going to wrap up the stream there. On your way out, make sure you do drop a like. And if you are one of those people that hasn't subscribed to the channel, you're lingering in the chat, come on, get involved, join the gang, subscribe to the channel. Don't be that person. We're dropping daily content, and it'll be fantastic to have you on board throughout this season. Hopefully this has provided some value. Another useful live stream, always helping everyone out. Thanks, and fingers crossed. Thank you very much for that kind comment, and that is going to be a fantastic way to end this. Have a great game week, guys. I'm going to have a pint. I'm going to enjoy myself this evening, and I hope you guys do over this weekend. Just chill, enjoy your weekend, and have a great one, guys, and we will see you in the next stream. Take care. Cheers.